there has been a spike, I'm told, a spike in New Yorkers looking at real estate in the suburbs. Mitch Rochelle covers this kind of thing. Mitch, I've heard about this supposed exodus, but is it really happening? Have you really seen people get up and leave?
Well, first,
I mean, isn't that also a normal thing, right? Like as you get a certain age, you just move to the suburbs, right? I would think that that would be normal. Also, that market has been hot. Has it ever cooled down since the pandemic? It's been one of the Northeast and the Midwest has been hot, right? It's only been places like Arizona, Texas, Florida, right? Certain areas that have cooled down, right? They had this incredible spike during the pandemic and immediately after, and now they've cooled down so much. I mean, Florida is like, depending on where you are in Florida, again, it depends on where you are. It's not the same everywhere. But anyways.
You heard it from me because I said this a couple of months ago.
This is pretty normal, right?
It's true. And I was talking to realtors in the burbs, and they are seeing an uptick in activity. In fact, so there's actually more listings coming on the market because the market seems better and people are selling their houses. And who's buying it? Young couples from the 5 boroughs, or probably 4 boroughs, because I don't know if the Staten Island crowd is moving to the suburbs because they're already in the suburbs. But
always the hate for Staten Island,
they want to get
right?
the hell out of the city.
I'm seeing exactly the same thing in New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
Just across the river. Whenever a listing comes up, there are bidders very, very quickly.
And again, New Jersey's been hot,
from New York City,
right?
Yeah, and the ones that are linked.
To me, that's been normal. I mean, my family did this decades ago, right? I was born in Staten Island, right? From that whole area, and grew up in the Jersey Shore, right? This is nothing new. This is nothing new.
Lingering on the market in the suburbs, whether it be Bergen County.
I understand they're trying to make
County,
it
Westchester
political.
County, or even Nassau County in Long Island. The ones that are lingering on the market are the ones where the asking price is just too high. Okay. But the ones that are priced right, selling.
There seems to be a split in the Florida real estate market. How come Naples, I believe, is doing very, very well?
Better.
Cape Coral, they're not doing well.
Certainly
Why?
better.
Well, I think they're completely different sort of wealth
buyers.
Demographics that are moving
Totally
there.
different buyers.
You're finding the people who are buying in Naples aren't borrowing money. They're moving from the Northeast. They're moving from California. They're moving from a lot of Midwesterners moving there. And they're buying homes for cash.
They're taking money out of the stock market.
Taking money out of the stock market. They're maybe selling their home up north, wherever they came from. But they're buying houses for cash.
I mean, people are doing that in Cape Coral, too. But again, these are two very different markets. Cape Coral and Naples are very different markets. And also, I can see how some people would, an allure of Cape Coral is all the canals and boating and fishing and all of that isn't as much in Naples, right? There's not this intense canal system in Naples and waterfront properties in Naples, where in Cape Coral, it's way more accessible to way more people. It's not as expensive. I mean, there are pluses and minuses that go with all that also, but to me, there are two very different buyers for sure. I mean, Naples, I know both areas. Let me just say that Naples I would move to Naples before Cape Coral. I don't think that I would ever live in Cape Coral. Cape Coral it's just not for me. It's just, I like boating and fishing. Like, I like that stuff. It's just Cape Coral is not for me. I'm like, and I'm down there pretty often. So I'm in both areas pretty often, but yeah.
The Cape Coral, Fort Myers market, these are leveraged borrowers, meaning they're borrowing as much as they possibly can. And that market, because interest rates are high, is suffering. I think the statistic was that 8% of the people who've bought are underwater in the Cape Coral, Fort Myers area. Let's remember, after the financial crisis, the hardest hit market in the United States was right there, Fort Myers.
Yeah. This is how I'm told people do it. You've run up a nice chunk of money in the stock market, and then you go to your broker, the investment firm. You get a loan from them using your stock market profits as collateral, and then you get a loan at a low interest rate. It's not a mortgage. Right. You get that from your broker, and away you go and you buy your house full cash. That's how people do it, isn't it?
That's how some people sitting around this table did it.
Yeah, it's true.
But what happened is the rates during the housing boom,
and you don't take it out, and that's not there are like different tax reasons for doing that, because it's a loan, it's not a cash out, and you need to pay capital gains on it. This is there's a lot more to that than this is a bit of a a money game, if you will, about all that. Yeah, some financial planning. Yeah, very interesting. Taking a loan out, and no different than people do this with real estate, whether it's a HELOC or a HELoan. Yeah, different strategies. Also, obviously, that equity in your house or the market could drop like that, and then all of a sudden,
post-COVID were really low. Let's remember, interest rates were really low. So a lot of people were surprised. They borrowed against their stock gains at 2.5%.
Yeah.
That 2.5% was locked in for 2 years. 2 years came pretty quickly.
And then
they realized that those loans got resized to maybe 7%, which a lot of people freaked out about. But they forget the fact that if they were to go out and borrow with a traditional mortgage, it would be around 7%. Moreover, they'd pay taxes on all those capital gains to
Yeah.
So
getting
still better
a
off.
mortgage these days is like torture.
Torture.
Oh, covering all the bases, all you got to fill in. All the rest.
I called it a financial colonoscopy last time I was on, and everybody rolled their eyes. So I'm not going to do it again.
But it was good. No, I won't.
I mean, that's what it is. No
mortgage rates.
Yep.
The 30-year fixed rate loan looks to me like it's going back up to 6.5%, and that's not good, is it?
No, it's not good. Well, I'll tell you why it's good. Because I think if interest rates were to come down considerably, let's say a point and a half, I think that would boom the housing market again,
100%.
and we'd see prices starting to go up, which would be great for buyers.
And all the inventory that's come on the market would start getting sucked up like crazy. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm sure it would affect some areas more than other areas, but I think it would affect pretty much everywhere to some extent. Some areas more than others, but everywhere, for sure. Absolutely.
So it's kind of a good news, bad news situation. I think what most people don't understand is when the Fed cuts rates, it has nothing to do with the 10-year Treasury, which drives the mortgage rate. So I think we are going to find ourselves in a situation where we're lowering short-term rates and long-term rates just start going up as a function of the free market. So praying for low mortgage rates ain't going to happen.
Okay.
Yeesh. All right, so this is saying 8% of Cape Coral and Fort Myers, they were saying homeowners are underwater. And that's because of, this is no different than when it happened like 2007, 2008. They bought at the peak, right? If you bought at the peak when things were nuts and maybe you overpaid or you didn't get, just things like that. It's like musical chairs, right? And you happen to be the unlucky one. But no different than 2008, the people that held became whole again and then some. Right? So this is where housing isn't for flipping in that kind of way, right? Unless that's your plan and your strategy and you're doing that on purpose, in which case you should have been out by now. Even if it was at some major loss, if your point was to flip, and you got caught with your pants down, you got to get out. You got to get out no matter what. I mean, it's just the longer that you hold when your purpose is to flip, the more it's going to cost you. It's just bad. So you got to just axe that price until you can get it gone, no matter what. That's the name of that game. But if you're buying and it's your house, you're living in it, or it's a rental and you bought it and it's cash flowing already, does it matter? Like, just keep it and hold it, right? Real estate is not for flipping in that kind of way. People, and I mean, I took advantage of it, right? I did. I took advantage of it when the market was going crazy twice. But at the same time, I also needed to buy on the other ends of it if I wanted, if I chose to, which I did. So it's kind of like this, but it would have been a different story if I would have just kept my first house, which I bought in 2017. I held it and I still had it. Ultimately, unless you bought a while ago and you've been holding this whole time, if you've been buying and selling in any of the past 5 years. This is just what it is. You've known that housing has been crazy, and we saw where we were in the cycle, and you saw how fast the interest rates went up and how that hit the brakes so hard on housing, that if you pay attention to that stuff, it was pretty clear to see. It's pretty clear to see. I mean, I remember it. All right. I was here watching it because I pay attention to this stuff, seeing it and thinking that this is what's going to happen. And for me, my whole thing was just like, well, as much as I may not like it in some ways, in other ways, I knew it just didn't matter because I'm holding. So it doesn't really matter. Only matters if you're selling. These people that are underwater, that could be because they put down 5% instead of 20%. That's not great. That's not ideal. That's riskier. That's over leveraged, I'll say. I've put 30% down on a house. I've put 10% down on a house and in between. So I think just being conservative and the less leverage is better. That's what I think. Like, yeah, it's dead money because it's just sitting there in your house, and okay, you can get a HELOC or take a loan out on it or whatever, like you can do those things. And sometimes are better than others to do those things depending on where the market is at the time, right? Depending on interest rates, all that kind of thing, how hard or easy it is to get money, how expensive or cheap money is at the time. And right now we're in a place where money is more expensive. Yeah, it's what it is. And Naples market has held better than Cape Coral and Fort Myers, that's for sure. But again, they're very different. It's a very different tax bracket. It just is. It's a very different tax bracket. You can get a more affordable house in Cape Coral or Fort Myers. Certainly Fort Myers. I mean, I personally wouldn't. I don't know. I'm not as crazy about those kind of areas, but I like Naples. I think Naples is really nice, but it's expensive. I don't live in Naples. I like it down there, but it's also, there are things about it. I can see how people would like it and see how people wouldn't like it. It's just a ton of communities and HOAs, and there are some neighborhoods that aren't like that, but mostly not. It feels very much more like community with country club, right? As opposed to like a neighborhood. It all depends on what you want and what you're looking for and what you're going for. So, and in terms of New York and New Jersey, I just see that as this is not new. I know that they're trying to make it political, and I'm not saying that there aren't people that are going to move for political reasons. People have been moving for political reasons the past 4 or 5 years. So I get it. I'm not saying it's not a thing or not possible, but at the same time, people have been moving out of New York and moving to New Jersey or moving to Long Island or Staten or like into, one of the other boroughs forever. I don't see that changing at all. No matter what your reason is, whether it's political or whether it's because of taxes, in which case you're kind of screwed on both sides because, what's worse than New York tax, New Jersey tax, depending, especially, housing, your tax on home ownership. Whew, your property taxes, forget it. New Jersey, forget it. That right there would make me move, and not to either of those states. I'd be like, nope. That's where Florida gets the benefits from that side. But yeah, I don't see any of that changing. And also, he's saying that like, your younger families from other boroughs are buying. I mean, if they can afford it, it's just so expensive. It's so expensive. Do you really need to live there? Like, if you really needed to live there and your income was so great and that you were in the 1% of earners, basically, then fine. But most people are not that. Most people are just hanging on. And I don't know. I don't think that's the way to live as you just continue to get older. It's like, okay, you were hanging on in your 20s, and now you're hanging on still in your 30s, and then you get into your 40s and you're like, I haven't went anywhere. I'm still hanging on. That sucks. That sucks. That's because you've been staying in the same place, you know, that same harsh, cold, you know, area, just hanging on. Just, oh God. And I know people that do it. I do. I know people in New York that do it. I know people in Los Angeles that do it. I get that there's positives and there are opportunities, and also probably the bigger thing being the potential for opportunities there, that it keeps you there because you're like, well, this can happen and this can happen. And I've had this happen and it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't here. And this, you know, and I do get that. I do. I really, really do. But those things don't generally happen every day or all the time. It's tough. There's opportunities everywhere, all kinds of places. There's more opportunities in more places now than ever, especially with the internet. Like I said, a teacher of mine from 20 years ago said you could do this from Kansas now with the internet. And it's more true now than 20 years ago. I would go with that. I would just go with that. Forget all this. Because then if you actually are able to make something happen, it's easier for you to make something happen because you're not as strapped financially and just stress and all of that, right? It's stressful to have your living expenses here to be maxed out. You know, it's expensive to be maxed out. It's stressful to be maxed out. It's no way to live, especially long term. When you're starting out, okay, fine. You know, and you're trying to figure out and get yourself together, fine. But long term, that's just a hard life. Forget all that. You don't have to live that way. Forget all that.